A group of Canadian senators are calling for a ban on all sports betting ads in Canada, and it's the ads that are the issue. A letter addressed to the Prime Minister, signed by more than 40 senators, is calling for a complete ban on all sports gambling ads. Last year, CBC Marketplace reported that during a broadcast, gambling ads were on screen about 20% of the time. Yesterday, I spoke with Senator Marty Deakin, who represents Waterloo, Ontario. She's one of the authors of the letter.
When we look across the country, it's a patchwork. We have alcohol and tobacco have national advertising regulations. Why would sport betting be an exception when the harms continue to be improving? Our celebrities are still out there. Our kids love these celebrities, even though there's a statement at the end. They are very, very hooked into the belief of success.
That was Senator Marty Deakin speaking yesterday on Information Radio. So how big of an issue is sports gambling in Canada? We're going to have a wider look in a moment. But first, we sent CBC's Jim Agapito to ask you on the streets of Winnipeg your thoughts.
I'm Dylan Kedrick Aloso.
I'm curious, do you think sports betting in Canada is a problem?
Oh, it definitely is. Definitely is. The prediction market as a whole is a very big problem, as it is. It shows to be a way to make money. However, you could easily lose much more than you earn, right? So the upsides are infinite, but the downsides are also infinite, right?
I'm Stephen Adolson. I think it goes to a greater issue of there's a desperation for making ends meet. You know, it's difficult, and so gambling is high risk, high reward. Some people are willing to take that risk.
My name is Nathan Asafov. From what I see online, it probably is, with how much is advertised in sports nowadays and how much money people are putting into it, especially students. It's a bit too much, I think.
My name is Abdiel Huhu. I sports gamble.
Okay, how much do you spend?
I spend like $10.
Do you think sports betting in Canada is a problem?
I mean, for some people, but like I consider myself smarter with it. I set the limit to my deposit limit is $10. I mean, if you do it properly and you within your financial limits, for sure, it's not bad.
Do you bet on sports?
I have in the past, yes.
Okay, how much were you spending when you did?
I did around 300, 400.
Like a month or a year?
I'd say around a month, yeah.
Why did you decide to stop?
Well, I realized I was losing a lot more money than I was making, and I didn't really know what I was doing, so I went to other forms of gambling.
I do not, but I do know people that bet on sports, yeah.
And how much do you think they've spent?
Oh, thousands. Yeah.
Do you bet on sports?
I do not know.
Okay, do you know anyone that does?
Not personally, but I do see quite a few students on campus.
Oh, I'm curious. Do you know anyone who you think has a problem with sports betting?
Personally, no, but I have seen horror stories where people have lost their life savings, lots of money, just gambling away, right?
I wouldn't say a problem, because they don't do it all the time. However, the limits, the amount that they're probably spending is probably more than they're comfortable with and able to depart with.
So how do you feel about ads during sporting events?
Ads during for gambling? It's become so much where they'll put entire overlays based on odds or how much someone will score during a certain game. It's the incentive to get gambling in the mainstream has become way too much, where it's just harming society in general and sports fans. So it's not a good thing at all.
Oh, it's somewhat manipulative, right? You are using this event and showing it this way to earn a lot of money. However, it doesn't show any of the downsides, any of the sort like that, right?
Applicable, if as far as the business goes, that's the place to do it. It's relevant. As far as, people going to sporting events and expecting to watch a game and then getting suckered into gambling, 50-50s are commonplace at sporting events. So it's a easy way to make a little bit of extra cash with how much people are spending to be there in the first place.
I just don't like ads in general. So I pay for DAZN, so I just hate the ads. But yeah, they're quite in your face, like everywhere. Especially like I don't know, like the NFL one has like a bunch. I can't remember what exactly, but they're pretty in your face.
And how often do you say you see those advertisements for online sports betting?
Oh, all the time, all the time. Every day, I watch sports. You always see FanDuel, DraftKings, that kind of thing. Yeah.
You know,
Always. Every event that happens, whether it's a Gold Eyes game, a Bombers game, whether it's a Jets game, whether it's, I know we have some horse racing, always.
So that was CBC's Jim Agapito talking to some students out in the University of Manitoba campus there. Andrew Kim is our guest this morning, assistant professor in the Department of Psychology over at Toronto Metropolitan University and a Tier 2 Canada Research Chair in Addictions and Mental Health. He's been involved in gambling research for over 10 years. Good morning.
Good morning.
Lots to think about there, obviously, but why don't we start with this ban that the 40 senators are calling for? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it would be sort of on the extreme end of what other jurisdictions have done. I agree with the spirit of it. I do think something needs to be done in terms of regulating gambling advertisement, especially sports betting, whether that's a complete ban or some other regulations. I do think something does need to happen.
I understand that you say that in your research over this decade that the research actually lags behind. Like these companies wouldn't be spending all this money if it wasn't, going to be for purpose and impact. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so I mean, this is just the realities of academic research, is that it takes a long time to conduct really strong, robust research. From start to finish, it can take anywhere from a year to 2 years, right? But by then, things have already happened. So I got into this area because I'm a huge sports fan. I've noticed all the advertisements and I researched into what was happening. And I thought this is probably not going to have a positive impact on the well-being, increased gambling rates in Canada and Ontario. And that was 3 years ago. And now I'm starting to publish and show what the potential impacts that's having. But that's 3 years of advertisement.
And what have you found around the rates increasing?
Yeah, so there are signals in Ontario for sure. I'm part of a group that conducts a national study of gambling and problem gambling in Canada. We ran a study in 2018 prior to all the changes that have happened, and we've rerun the study this year. And what we're seeing is that sports betting across Canada has increased, but the increase has most sharply increased in Ontario, where we've opened up the iGaming markets.
What is that market? Can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. So in most provinces, and Manitoba is the same, which was kind of interesting to hear students saying, I see advertisements for FanDuel, DraftKings, which isn't legal in the province. So Ontario, rather than having the provincial operator, which would be Ontario OLG, it's now allowed these multi-billion-dollar companies to legally allow gambling here. So like BetMGM, DraftKings, Sportsnet.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than having one operator, you have at last count over 50.
Let's talk about these ads themselves. Who are they targeting, and what's the impact on the population that's being targeted?
Yeah, so if you look at the content of the advertisements, right, and especially on TV, it's that demographic. They're young men who watch sports, drink alcohol, and it's generally what we see in the research. If you're to ask me who is the prototypical sports bettor or who's most likely to bet on sports, they're young men, highly educated, disposable income that drink alcohol and maybe impulsive. And that's who the advertisement, the content, that's who they're geared towards. The issue is that the advertisements make sports betting look like so much fun, easy way to make money, and it's targeting people that may be a bit more vulnerable, right? So young adults who may not have their brains fully developed can make appropriate decisions, and really makes it enticing. They really show the upsides of gambling without any of the downsides.
I want to play actually just a little piece. This is a very short clip. This is the student we just heard from, Dylan Kedrick Iloso. This is what he said about some of the ads that show up during sporting events.
It's somewhat manipulative, right? You are using this event and showing it this way to earn a lot of money. However, it doesn't show any of the downsides, anything of the sort like that, right?
Um, so it's interesting. What do you think of what he had to say there? Because he's got on one level an understanding it's manipulative and it's not showing the downsides. What's your sense of how this can? People might not understand how this can affect a person. Because we heard that other young person say, "Well, I think I'm smart about it. I can handle this." But there's categories of people that will be more affected. Correct?
Yeah, of course. So, for most people, sports betting isn't going to lead to harms or it's not going to lead to an addiction. But there are some people that it can and it will. And with all the changes that has happened, advertisements increasing, opening up the markets, yeah, we're seeing an increase. And the manipulation, that's a strong word. I think it's more exposure to advertisements. It's constant exposure. It's a reminder. It's a trigger for some. And the thing to make a lot of money is like, because I am a sports fan, yeah, I sometimes thought when it's end of the second period, Leafs, I'm a Leafs fan for the listeners, and they're down 2, 3 goals, and I see the odds saying, well, for the Leafs to come back, it's minus 2,500, and I'm thinking to myself, well, if I bet $100, they can win. I can win 2,500, right? But the likelihood of that event happening is very, very low. So I'm going to lose more money. I'm actually going to likely lose than I'm going to win my 2,500.
The psychological nature of gambling is you're addicted to the highs, right? You're addicted to the emotional highs and lows, even though we always talk about the money, and the money's sort of the lure, from what I understand from past interviews. What I thought was interesting as well in hearing those young people was one of the gentlemen said, he said, I realized that, this wasn't going to win. So I went to another form of gambling where I thought psychologically he thought he'd have a better chance, but it's all still gambling. Also, I wonder how much the whole, make money quick, have a side hustle way of being in the world right now is maybe feeding into this popularity of gaming sites.
Yeah, I imagine that's having an impact, right? So when we talk about gambling, we can generally distinguish between two different types. One is luck-based, where there's absolutely zero skills. We're thinking about lottery tickets, roulette, slot machines. And then we have this other end where we call it sort of skill-based, where there's some aspect of skill. Poker, blackjack, and sports betting would fall into that. Can some people make money on these activities? Yes, but it's a very minor minority of people that do. So most people that gamble, whether it's roulette, blackjack, poker, sports betting, they're going to lose money. The thing is, in our society, gambling is one legal way that people can potentially make a lot of money, right? So if you're a student, you're a young adult, you're short cash this week to go out or to pay for your rent or groceries, yeah, you might think, you know what? I watch a lot of sports. I'm a huge fan. I know who's hot. Maybe I can put in $100 and maybe I can win 400 and that'll cover me for the rest of the month. But again, for most people, the more you gamble, the more you're going to lose.
The celebrity aspect of this is worrying as well. If people are going to bet on sports, how might they do it more responsibly?
Yeah, so I think one of the students had a really good tip that they're doing. They set a deposit limit. So some of the research that I've done, what we've seen is trying to figure out what do people actually do to help stay in control of their sports betting. And what we're finding is setting a financial limit. So setting a money limit. How much can I truly afford to bet on sports and stick to that limit? Think of it as any hobby or recreational activity, going to the movies, going out for dinner. How much could I spend? Stick to that. That's one thing. Sports betting has evolved in terms of the number of different types and ways that you can bet on sports. And what we're also finding is that not all sports betting is equal in terms of risk. So there's something called in-play betting, where you can make theoretically hundreds of bets during a single game, not just on who's going to win, but a lot of events that can happen within a game.
You like your example about the goal in third period.
Exactly. Who's going to score the next goal? Who's going to take the next penalty? And what we're finding is that engaging in those type of bets, those in-play bets, has been associated with greater problems, greater amount of money spent. So if you're going to bet on sports, set a limit, make your bets before the game, and then put your phone away. Just enjoy the sport for what it is. What we're also finding is that if you drink alcohol and bet on sports, that's a high risk mix. You're going to spend more money, you're going to make more impulsive bets, and it's going to be leading to more harms.
Andrew, Kim, thank you for all of this, and good luck with your Leafs. Not betting on them, but just their season. And take care. Thanks for your time.
Well.
Thank you for your time this morning on CBC.
My pleasure.